With writing, you're able to express and build knowledge. You're able to express what you think and feel. If you don't know how to do that effectively so that other people can understand and relate, then often your message will not be fully understood in the manner that you wish it to be. Writing is visual thinking. The wonderful thing about visual thinking is you can fix it. You can go back and look at it and think, ooh, it could be better. That's the wonderful thing about writing. Because when you think of a great idea, it's often lost unless you can remember. It's like, don't forget. But normally you forget unless you write it down. And then when you write it down, it builds. It builds a little higher, 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 and then you got something valuable. It helps us come to understandings about the world we live in and our relationship to the world. It has been said before that all knowledge exists already. It's just up to us to discover it. So how do you do that? You need to use critical thinking. You need to build your knowledge. So how do you do that? You just can't write out what you think. You need to be able to write it in a way that you are sure your audience will understand and relate to. To do that, just follow these simple steps. Remember, we're building knowledge, so think with each step you're climbing a little higher. Step 1, identify. What is it we're talking about? Step 2, define. What do these ideas really mean deep down? Those basic foundational ideas. And now you understand what those ideas mean because you've defined them. Now you need to illustrate how they're used. Where do you see these words? Where do you see these things happening? Instructions even. This is what you should expect. Next, you describe. Here you go into detail describing what something really looks like, or how something really felt, or how you experienced it. Here you have to use very nuanced words, very precise words to really get the meaning across. Next, we narrate. Describe the events. What happened? What did you expect to happen? What did you do? What were the outcomes? What were the actions? Next, we explain. Why did something happen? Why did you do something? It's not necessarily the order that something happened, whereas like in a narration, it's more looking at the big picture about why something happened. After we explain why, now we need to think, what does this all mean? We need to analyze, put some meaning to it. So here we might do cause and effect, compare and contrast, problem and solution. So we start looking at the details like, oh, here we have some differences. This is what happened. We begin to figure out why, because then we go into evaluation. We expected something to happen, but something else happened. When you evaluate, this is where you use your judgment. This is where you say something is good or bad. You give your opinion for the first time. And all those other steps, no opinion, all fact. Now when you evaluate, it's not necessarily opinion because it's all based on fact, so it's a reasoned conclusion. Next, after we've done all that, we need to teach. Just because we've evaluated and done all this stuff doesn't mean it's any good. Now we need to teach people. What should you know about this? What is important about this? Why does it matter to me? You need to tell that to people through writing. So you explain, you narrate, you analyze, you do it all so that someone knows what to do. Someone knows what you learned. After you've taught, then you need to reflect. What did I get out of all this? What did I do? What can I do better next time? What are some goals I can set for myself? When you've identified, when you've defined, when you've illustrated, when you've described, when you've narrated, when you've explained, when you've analyzed, when you evaluated, when you've taught, and when you've reflected, then you have developed knowledge. You have shown critical thinking. You will have contributed to the world's knowledge in a constructive and positive way, in a way that can help others. That's the power of writing.